Okay. So I always start these lives thinking, hey, we might not have anybody here, which is totally fine because YouTube is going to record this and save it for later. So I have things to go off of that are going to be valuable as we move forward, whether anyone's here or not. So right now, we don't have anybody here, but I do have some topics I want to talk about. If anybody jumps on, obviously, then I'll reiterate that you can communicate. No point in saying that now. All right, guys. So today I want to talk about a topic that I think a lot about as being somebody who is in the construction world. I'm a licensed general contractor. I don't do work for other people anymore. I just work on my own investment properties every once in a while if somebody needs a little help here and there, but mostly I'm working on my own investment properties. And somebody who is doing work myself. So I really try to share information that would be helpful for DIYers, homeowners, beginner real estate investors, or really people that are trying to, hey, maybe I want to invest in property or just my own home. And I want to be able to do a bathroom myself. I want to be able to do those projects myself, or just know enough to know if I'm hiring it out that the person I'm hiring is doing a good job or I'm watching for the right things. I see a lot of hate. So I see that I have two of you guys here, but it doesn't tell me who. It just says two. So thank you guys for being here. If you want to tell me who's here, if you don't, that's okay. But if you do, tell me your name over here in the chat. Something popped up on the chat. Okay, I thought I made it go away. And let me know who's here. That would be awesome. Okay, so being from the construction world and then really trying to share with people in the DIY space is I see some tension because a lot of contractors will post when people do things themselves that you should hire it out to a professional. If you don't know what you're doing, you shouldn't be doing it. Well, everybody has to start somewhere. And I think of back in the day where everybody did everything themselves. Everybody built everything themselves. I sell houses from people that their dads or grandfathers built their houses and they built their cabinets and they weren't even builders. They just learned and figured it out as they went. And so I think there's a lot to be said for learning to do things yourself. So my journey into the world of construction was from a job. I started working for a investor in town who I became really good friends with, and I did maintenance and repairs. And then as I got into investing myself, I felt like, well, there's pieces that I'm comfortable doing myself and there's pieces that I'm not. And so there were things that I thought, I could probably figure that out. But I thought, no, I better pay the expert to do it. I better pay a licensed person that knows what they're doing to do this piece of the project. And I got more and more into construction because I would pay for a project and for a licensed and insured person who should have known what they were doing. And I would be so disappointed with the results. And as a homeowner and a DIYer, again, I had done maintenance for other people, but I was not a contractor at that point. I really just knew baseline basics. And so a lot of my learning came from paying the expert to do something, them doing an actual really bad job, and me not being able to afford to have it done again, and them not honoring it and coming back and making it right. And so I started to learn things. I had the basics, and then I'd have a plumber mess something up and I had to fix it. Or I'd have an HVAC guy come in and I had to fix it. And the cool thing is there's so much information on the internet these days. Now, I think the struggle is there's too much information and you have to learn who's showing you how to do it the right way and who's not showing you how to do it the right way. And anything you want to learn to do yourself, you can. There's videos of people installing furnaces themselves online. So really anything you want to learn, you can. Guys, give me just a second. I'm going to grab a water because I'm already losing my voice. So that's really where my evolution of doing so much myself happened, was having to fix stuff and not being able to pay. And really people just weren't honoring, hey, I see Scott. Nice to see you. Thanks for being here. I appreciate it. And so it really evolved. And, one story I always think of is I have these past clients and they were friends. So they have bought houses and fixed them up. and moved out. So they're not professionals, they're not doing huge repairs. They're doing things like, I'm buying a house and I'm doing the tile work. They're not, structurally doing things, but they would buy a house that needed a lot of cosmetic work, fix it up, sell it, buy a house, fix it up, sell it, and always just kind of go to the next one and buy a fixer. These people did amazing work. The work that they did, because they were careful and they had attention to detail and they were doing their research. And shout out to Scott at Everyday Home Repairs, because he is the one that actually has a video of how to do a furnace. So if you're going to undertake doing your own furnace, I think he has like a whole long video on installing a furnace. So go check that out if that's something you're brave enough to undertake. But they were doing, my two friends, Greg and Sarah, they were doing better work on their house than I was seeing some contractors do. Better quality tile work, better quality finish work, because they cared and they were taking their time. Now, every state is going to vary a little bit on how they regulate their contractors. Some states are very strict and some states are not as strict. But where I live, they are not that strict. And so sometimes, many times, I see people pay to get something done and it is atrocious. And it's really heartbreaking because they paid for all those materials. You can't reuse them. So they have to live with it or they have to pay for it another time. And so I think that throws the argument out the window of a DIYer can't do a good job. You absolutely can if you take your time to learn and do the research. And also it throws the argument out the window that just because you are a licensed and insured contractor means you're going to do a good job. And we've all seen it. We've seen horror stories. You see them on the news where whole subdivisions are collapsing and people are suing builders and the whole business of the builder is just going bankrupt, and then they're starting another business under another name. And so I think that's why it's so important to just consider that as a DIYer, you can do a really good job, and even a builder might not do a great job, or a contractor. Not saying they don't. There are some amazing, amazing experts in each field. When I watch on Instagram some of these guys and girls that are doing tile work and how skilled they are at what they're doing, there are people that are very, very good at their craft. But it doesn't mean that that's who you're going to get when you hire somebody out. I'm on a lot of pages on Facebook where people will post, tile pages or building pages, and somebody will get on there that's a homeowner and they'll post photos and they'll say, this is what the prep work looks like for my bathroom or my shower or whatever. Does this look right? It just doesn't look right to me. And a lot of times it's not. And they're paying somebody who's saying they're a knowledgeable expert. And so even if you don't want to DIY a project yourself, to have a certain level of knowledge that you know what you're looking for. And if something doesn't look right, you have the confidence to say, hey, hold on, I got to trust my gut here. And something's not right here. So I think that's really important. The other thing with DIY is a lot of times you don't have the option. It could be your budget and you have an emergency. I'm not saying, oh, well, I really want to renovate my bathroom and I don't have the money to do it, so I'm going to learn to do it myself, which is awesome. But maybe it's 3 a.m. and you have a plumbing emergency and you can't afford to call someone for an emergency call out, or maybe you can't get a hold of somebody. I have had emergency times with my rental properties where I try to call a plumber or somebody, and even if they say they have an emergency line, nobody's answering. It's 3 a.m, it's 4 a.m, and ultimately we at least have to get that water turned off and the problem stabilized so we can repair it tomorrow, or call somebody in to repair it. So there's a certain level of home literacy that it's good for you to have. So if God forbid you have an emergency and you have nobody to help you, you can at least get yourself to a safe baseline to stabilize and fix the problem later. The other thing is, I think about this a lot, and we see articles about this, guys, all the time, is we are losing skilled tradesmen. That was such a popular thing there when I was growing up. All the repair people, a lot of the contractors and the builders. Thanks for stopping by, Scott. I appreciate it. Go DIYers. Absolutely. they're aging out. And so when I look at the builders in my area or the builders I see in a lot of areas, they are of an older generation where in 20, 25 years, or even 10 years, some of them, they're not still going to be building. Or one thing I've noticed in my town is appliance repair technicians. There's very few of them. And for a while, there was nobody in our town. I think we have one option for appliance repair, and that's it. So even if you want to hire it out, if there's nobody to hire and there's nobody to call, you got to figure something out. Your house has to continue to operate and function. And we hear it all the time. Everybody went to college and got advanced degrees, and we have less welders and we have less carpenters. And, all those things, we just don't have as many of them. So even if you want to be able to hire somebody, are they going to be available for you? Or again, what maybe costs $80 an hour now, in 15 years, is that going to be $500 an hour because they can and there's such a demand? So it's good for you to be able to do some of these things yourself if you have to, for whatever reason. I think that those are a couple things to consider. Now, one thing to consider when you're thinking about, do I do this or do I not, is, are you safe? Number one thing I think you should always consider is, do you feel like you could hurt yourself or your home by doing this yourself? Because I've also seen very bad DIYs. So the first one I talk about safety, I would think about electrical things, structural things. If you don't have a certain level of competency, make sure that you don't go beyond what you're comfortable with. Now, if you paint your wall and you mess up a little bit, or you hang some blinds and you mess up a little bit, not that big of a deal. If you take out a load-bearing portion of your house, you could ruin your property. You literally could ruin your property. If you mess with electrical and you don't know what you're doing, there's a lot of basic electrical things that homeowners can do, but you have to have a certain level of proficiency. If you have no idea, you can literally kill yourself, or you can start your home on fire. And so I think the question of when you absolutely don't want to DIY is this going to be dangerous to me, my family, or my home, or the person coming after me? Again, if you kind of do an ugly paint job, no big deal, right? So that's a question too. And you'll get more confidence as you go. There are things that I do now that I would have never imagined. And again, I've been in for, 18 plus years, I've been in the trades. And so there are things that 15 years ago I would have and should have not been doing, and I wouldn't have. And then each little thing you do, you build that confidence, and man, well, if I did that one thing, now I can do this next little step because I have the building blocks and I'm comfortable to move on to the next thing. But you got to start somewhere. And so start with those things that are safe and comfortable and not dangerous for you, and not big financial investments. If you're thinking about, man, I'm really not comfortable tiling my bathroom, I'm not ready for that, then don't start there. Don't mess up something that is going to be really expensive for you. One thing, like, I like to look at things in levels of how serious they are as a starting point to an advanced point. So I think a backsplash in a bathroom, when we're comparing to tiling, a backsplash in a kitchen, versus a bathroom. When you are tiling a bathroom, you have to really pay attention to making it waterproof, or you're going to have significant problems. If you're doing a custom shower pan and you're going to tile it, you have to make sure that you're building and waterproofing it properly. But a backsplash in a kitchen, that's cosmetic. Yes, it's blocking the splash of the grease, and if you get something dirty on it in your kitchen, but the backsplash in your kitchen, if that's not great and you don't love it and you want to tear it out in a couple of years, one, it's a small amount of tile. And so the cool thing about that is, yes, it could be expensive if you get a really fancy one, but if someday you want to redo it, that's totally okay. Danae, thanks for being here. I appreciate it. So yeah, a backsplash is like, okay, it doesn't have to be waterproof. You're just putting it on drywall. This is more of an aesthetic, cosmetic thing. Now, when I'm going to do my shower, I have to make sure that I do that right, or I'm going to have water damage. I could potentially have mold. I'm going to have really expensive long-term problems. So maybe you do a backsplash in the kitchen before you do a whole bathroom, but you do those little steps that build confidence to kind of build up and know, okay, I'm ready for that next step. Maybe before you're ever going to replumb a whole house, maybe you change your bathroom faucet. or you change out your garbage disposal or something like that to build the courage and get that basic knowledge with the tools and how things function and how things go together. So I think it's just building and not being afraid. Again, mine was born out of necessity because I was really trying to grow in my real estate investing journey. And one, sometimes, gosh, I just couldn't pay for it. Two, sometimes I had paid for it and it needed to be fixed and I had to figure it out. And so each time I did something a little bit harder than the last time and I did it right and well, and it looked better than when the person I had paid to do it did it, I was like, dang, if I did that, I can do this next thing now too. And so it just kind of grows for you. I think the biggest thing to think about is safety. I think the next biggest thing is, what's my financial hit if I mess this up? Or is this something that's easy to fix if I make a mistake? Or can I practice? Can you do a sample board? And I know this takes a little bit of extra time, but could you get a little bit of concrete board or Wonder Board or Curdy or Schluter or whatever brand you want and make a board and practice your chevron pattern before you put it on the wall, right? And does it look good? Did I get everything good? Now I'm ready to take it to the wall. And stuff like that is a good way to learn. So that's kind of the things that were on the top of my mind and the notes that I had of this process. Are there any questions? It looks like I have 4 of you guys right now. Do you guys have any questions about DIY or projects that you're thinking of doing or maybe not doing, or DIY projects you've done, wins, fails, contractor wins, fails? Because I think we all have those horror contractor stories. I'm in my office right now. So here was one of mine early on. One thing I don't touch about a lot is HVAC. It's something I'm just not very familiar with. And when I renovated my office, this is a downtown building in the old part of town, and it had been let go for a long time. And we did a full renovation, complete overhaul, new roof, new plumbing, new furnace, new everything. And we moved all the walls. And I brought in a furnace HVAC contractor to do the furnace, and they destroyed my floors. We were saving the hardwood floors. They did really bad placement of the ducting. They actually cut the hole so big that we have the hardwoods we wanted to save and the holes were larger, and it was just a horrific experience. The ducting because the basement's unfinished, our ducting was all jankety and falling apart, and I actually had to pay to have somebody rerun all of that, but the damage was already done to our hardwood floors. The holes were big. I called the owner. I said, hey, here's what your guys did. Here's our problems. Can you please come and how can you make this right? Because I don't even know. We had salvaged the floors. We don't have extra flooring. And he scheduled 3 appointments with me to come look at it and didn't show up to any of them and just completely ghosted me. And so I had to pay to have a lot of the HVAC redone. And this was, 8 to 10 years ago. And they didn't want to make it right. And so sometimes you have those situations where, again, I was paying a contractor, an HVAC contractor. I did not get the cheapest option. I kind of got somebody that I thought would be good, and our experience was really, really bad. And so you don't always know what you're getting when you hire it out. And sometimes you got to find a way to fix it yourself or pay somebody else to fix it for you. So, all right, guys. Well, I'm going to let it ride just a second to see if any of you guys have anything you guys want to talk about, any topics. It's okay if it's not the topic we're on. We can divert if we need to. Okay, looks like we don't have anything. So I will leave it with this, you guys. We have the world at our fingertips in the internet. And it is so amazing that anything I have ever wanted to learn how to do, that, you build the confidence. So you're like, I know I can do this next project, but I'd like to watch somebody else do it before I do it just to see how it goes. For the most part, you can get mostly you can get a full tutorial, but if not, you can get a general idea to piece it together. It is all for free at your fingertips on the internet. I remember when Guitar Hero came out when I was young, and I was like, it is so crazy that people will sit here and pretend to play a game. Like, if people spent this much time practicing guitar or an instrument, think how good they could be. And so that's how I feel about the internet. and how much free information is available to us, you literally can do anything in the world that you want to do, whether it's construction and DIY, whether it's investing, whether it's learning how to be a bookkeeper, whether it's learning an instrument. There is nothing that you cannot learn for free on the internet. And I think that's just so crazy that we do not take more advantage of that than what we do. I mean, I'm like everybody. I'll look at the cute little cat videos on my phone, and I'll look at the cute little puppy videos on my phone. And then, but like also you can literally change your life with the information that's free on the internet. It could be about investing. It could be about the stock market. So I would just encourage you guys to just understand that the world is your oyster, and there's literally nothing you can't do, and there's nothing that you don't have a roadmap in front of you for free online to use. So that's it. I'll get off my soapbox. I appreciate you guys being here. I know it's a Wednesday evening and you guys probably have other things you want to do. So I can't tell you how much I appreciate those of you that have popped in and out of this live with me. I really appreciate you being a part of the channel. If there are certain things that you guys want to see, I try to put the things up that are projects I'm working on, but if there's something you want to see or a direction you want to see more of with the channel, please feel free to make a comment under any video. I try to respond to every comment. Make a comment here. I also will respond to messages. I know we can't message on YouTube, but over on my Instagram, that's at emily.a.lopez. I will respond to you over there. So let me know what you're looking for more of. I did get a request a while ago for more simple beginner DIY videos. So one thing that I've wanted to do, but I've been busy with projects, is to start implementing more basics of here's how you use a drill, here's how you use this saw, and just starting with the basic beginner DIY videos. So I'm going to start doing that. But if there's something specific you want to see at all, just let me know and I'll really try to start implementing that, especially as we go into the last quarter of the year. So again, I appreciate you guys so much. Thank you for being here. Happy DIYing, and I hope you have a beautiful Wednesday night. So I'll see you guys on the next one.